Chapter 21. Noah POV. The sun was just rising, and the land was unlightly lit. Everyone around me wore the blue ceremony dress consisting of the cloak with the words of Lord Vermeer lining the border. I watch as Sir Wilfred finishes the ceremony by releasing the aura to the air. I guess it's only appropriate he does it since Veronica is still in a coma. He is the closest to King Azivir. He was said to be the king's childhood friend and his most trustworthy advisor. Once the aura was released in the air, we removed our hood and raised our hand. We released a part of our power to the air as a gift to him, and the sky suddenly lit with different colors of the wizard powers. With this, the king of the dark wizard will now reach the Lord's hand. Mom said. She came back to the ground. She gave me a smile before blessing Wilfred and Philip. After the ceremony, I wait for Sir Wilfred as he talks with my father. Noah, come here. He called as I walked to him. Yes, Dad? I asked. Philip will take Veronica's place as general until she is able to take her post. Wilfred will give you a report on the attack of Dr. Rain. I don't know what is wrong, but the demons are no longer seen in any dimension. Somehow it worries me, he said as I glanced at Philip. His face was void as he nods at my father. What perfect acting. Noah, are you listening? Dad's voice rose as I looked at him. Ah, yes, I said as he nodded. You will need to have a meeting with the entire official under the quest. They will submit reports today evening. Call the meeting tomorrow evening. Will you be able to prepare by then? He said as I nod. Yes, Dad, I said as he nods and smiles. You can do this, he said as I smiled at him. I can. After that, Sir Wilfred, Philip, and I made way to Veronica's room. I sat on the chair next to her, immediately taking her hand to mine, making Sir Wilfred smile. Both of them sat on the sofa opposite to me. Okay, now that the ceremony is done, and we are alone, tell me about her, I said as they nod. You saw her powers, right? Philip asked as I nod. Yes, but it's different. She had markings over her body. She said she could not control it. I watched her go out of control. Her powers were too much. She wiped out the entire demons, I said as he looked at his father. That explains why she went to a coma, he said as his father nodded. Yes, she's not used to using her powers. All her life she learned to suppress it. The sudden release must have affected her badly, he said as I looked at Veronica in worry. Why can't she control her power? Is it related to her illness? I asked, remembering her intake of medicine. Those are actually suppressors. It was given to her since she was young, so that we can suppress her powers. She has been having that since she was 2. But as she grows, her power increases, and according to that, we increase the dose. When you went for your training, she lost her control. Her emotion took over, and we were forced to increase her dose. It was also very dangerous for her. Her body was not fit for such a portion. So she was sent to me to train and suppress her powers, he said as I nod. So that's why she was sent to Dr. Rain, I asked as they nod. Do my parents know? I asked as they shook their head. No, they don't. King Azivir forbids us, Philip said as I looked at him. Then why tell me? I asked as Philip smiled. You're the only one left for her. She loves and believes in you, he said as my eyes widened. Then, why? Why did she run away? Avoid me? I asked as he looked at me sadly. She didn't mean to run away from you, Noah. She loves you. You have no idea how much she walks around talking about you. She was the happiest when you were coming back, although she didn't show that outside, he said as I looked at the ground confused. She couldn't control near you. Her emotion gets mixed up, and so her power goes out of control, he said as I nod. She did say that to me. Why did you have to hide her power? I asked, as Sir Wilfred sighed. She is a hybrid like you, Noah, he said, as I raised my eyebrow, confused. Hybrid? I asked, shocked. Yes, but not an ordinary one. Unlike you being a half-human, she is a half-demon, he said as my eyes widened. A demon? I asked, shocked, as he nods. Her mother is a demon. In fact, one of the demon princes, he said as I gaped at him. Her mother is a demon. She was chosen to be the devil's bride, but she fell in love with King Azivior. Love makes you do strange things, and Azivior sacrificed and did forbidden things to save her from the devil king. He chuckled. I remember when he was just a prince and I was his best friend. He was so energetic and loved to explore. We used to go on adventures, kill dark creatures, and discover places, he said as he smiled at the memories. He waved his hands in the air, and I felt the sand around me change. My eyes widened as I saw the dark terrain castle in front of me. A young boy ran past me with a bow and arrow, a glimpse of past. Come on, Will, let's go. Today we're hunting dark creatures. The boy shouted excitedly as he ran past me. Wait for me, Ozzy! Another boy shouted as he laughed and ran after him. Chapter 22. No One POV. Past Scene 1. Do you think we'll find something good to challenge? Azivior asked as he looked around the dark forest excited. We'll see, Ozzy. Wilfred rolled his eyes at his excited best friend. He looked around cautiously as they went deeply into the dark forest. The forest was usually quiet, but today it doesn't feel right about here. Something is wrong, Azivior said as he looked around. Wilfred only frowned, but still he looked around alerted. Do you feel anything? He asked as he looked around cautiously. Wilfred knew when Azivior says something is wrong, something is wrong. Is it one of Azivior's special powers? He can sense danger and track them too. Come on, Azivior said as he took his sword out and walked to his left. Wilfred followed him, as though taking out his weapon consisting of a bow and arrow. Azivior increased his pace as he felt more and more energy. It was new to him. Something new always excites him. Stop, he said as they stopped in front of a cave. He pointed at the cave and sighed to be silent as he went in. Wilfred, like always, hid outside, ready to attack any time the prince gives a signal. As if he walked into the dark cave, his hands creating the orb to light his path. But his eyes widened as he saw light from the end of it. He immediately put off his orb and walked faster. The strange feeling was increasing, and I looked around, even more cautious. The end of the cave was a beautiful garden with trees and a pond. There was a gap in the center of the ceiling showing the sky. Suddenly, he heard cries. His eyes widened as he hid behind a tree and looked over. It was a girl, but she was beautiful. She had very long white straight hair that covered her body. She wore a black gown with loose sleeve ends. She was leaning by one of the trees. Her face was covered with a small pale hands as she cried. He moved to hide behind a tree closer to her, but she tensed and he knew he was spotted. She looked up cautiously, roaming her eyes everywhere. Suddenly, a dark red ball was directed at Azivior. As he jumped out of the way, but he couldn't rise as more came towards him. He rolled and dodges, taking cover at different trees and rocks, but it was no use. Come out! Her voice rose. It was strong and unwavering, and it interested the prince more. He walked up from behind a tree and faced the girl. Hello, he said as he bowed to her. What do you want? She asked as he looked up at her. She had beautiful red eyes which were very rare among the witches. I have never heard of you. Which Serene does your father rule? She asked as the prince frowned. Serene? He asked as she shook her head. She watched as he kept giving her a confused glance before she let out a frustrated cry. Who is your father? She asked, annoyed. King Cassius, she said as she frowned. Cassius? Who is that? She asked as he frowned. The king of Dark Terrain, he said as her eyes widened. Terrain? She asked, shocked. She looked around. Oh no, I broke the law. I never thought the stone leads to the other world. He will kill me. He started to hyperventilate. Her skin suddenly started to glow as red marking from around. She's not a wizard. Azivir took out his sword and took a step back. The wind picked up around her. She started to panic. Please calm down. Don't worry, no one will hurt you. Please, calm down. Azivir tried to tell her, but it was not working. Finally, he decided to take the risk and finally walked to her. The wind was tough, but he made it to her. He was hesitant to touch the coal like marking on her skin. But he closed his eyes. As he charged at him, he quickly wrapped his arms around her and engulfed her in a hug as she tensed in shock. The wind suddenly vanished and the remarking died down. What are you doing? She whispered as he separated from her. You are hyperventilating. I didn't know how to hell. He said, scratching back of her neck. Okay. Thank you, she said. She ignored his eye contact. I need to go back home before they notice I'm missing, she said, blushing and taking a few steps back. Can I know your name? He asked. She looked at him wide eyes. Yes, my name is Diane, he said as she smiled at him. Can I meet you here again? He immediately asked. She stared at him conflicted. He was confused about his behavior as well, but he wanted to see her again, comfort her. It's strange. He doesn't even know her to comfort her. But the face she made when she panicked lingered in his mind, creating an unknown pain in the heart. Okay, she nodded as he smiled. I'll be waiting, he said. She nodded, feeling her heartbeat fast. Goodbye for now, Azivir, she said, as she rose, took out a beautiful red stone in her hand. She closed her eyes and murmured something before her body vanished into thin air. Goodbye, till we meet again, Diane.